Hi, this is Reverend Dr. Elena Rosalind Michelle, and I just got done with a couple of videos here. So to continue on with the prophet's journey that I've done, I think it's real important to know, maybe, I don't know, just to put it out there, some of the things that I had went through growing up. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my family, and I know... yeah, we're all going to die anyways, right? With the great tribulation or being caught up in the clouds. I mean, hello. I really see things so much differently, but I think it's really good to just kind of share that my mom was actually raped when she was little. She was 13 when she was raped. She did not get pregnant, but she had a stigma about her. And nobody knew. And in fact, my mom drove me crazy, thinking that something was going to hurt me when I was that age as well. And I think that knowing now about what triggers are and what post-traumatic stress is, and she never dealt with it. I mean, she tried to deal with it, but I don't think it ever really went away. She married my dad, and my dad was a carpenter. And he built, like he raised rabbits, and he raised exotic chickens, and just really interesting animals. He had such a love of horses, and I was so very close to my dad. And and he was born in October, so opal is his color, and I wear opals on my bracelet because it reminds me, God reminds me of my dad. And when my mom had my sister, she almost died, and so she had another traumatic experience, and that really changed everything in our dynamics at home. And it changed. She was so very hard on me before that I can remember, and I used to get beat a lot. I feel like I was the Cinderella. I couldn't wait to get out. And during the middle of the night one night, and this is like after my parents had been divorced probably almost a year, she decided that she's going to move, and she didn't let the courts know. She didn't let nobody know but her own family, and she took us 3 kids in the middle of the night to Alaska. And she had did a mission trip before, and she already had a job and everything set up. She was gone for 3 months and left us in care and custody, control of family and of a minister and of friends. And she set a place for us when we went up there. And I know she tried to change, but then when she was like kidnapped us, we weren't supposed to talk to anyone, tell anybody where we're from. We ended up moving twice in Alaska, in this small little place called I think it was called Cordova. It's like Cordova, Spain. To me, it's like Dove of the Heart, or the Heart of the Dove, or something like that. And so we were up there for a couple years. My dad did find out where we were at, but he later, when I talked to my family on his side, that he was scared of flying, and so he didn't really come and get us. But I think part of it was maybe he didn't feel like he deserved us, because there was a lot of fighting. And I remember when my brother and I were really little, I want to say I was about 4 and my brother was 2. And I remember we didn't have any clean clothes. And mom was working, and he was working, he was a farmer's hand. So he worked a lot of hours, up to 80 hours a week. And I just remember we couldn't find any clean clothes before bedtime. And we had went to bed in this little toddler bed. My brother was laying on the other side, and I was laying on the opposite side. And we had the blankets clear up to our necks, because we didn't want to let Dad know that we couldn't find any clean clothes to go to bed in. And my dad came in, and he's like, I want to see that you have your pajamas on. And we were so scared, and he saw the fear in our eyes. And he walked away. I thought for sure we were going to get spanked. And, here we are, just little, and we knew that we were going to be in trouble, and he didn't do anything to us. He didn't ask for us to show ourselves. And the face that I saw in him, and how we looked so scared, it really affected him. And it's just an incredible thing to have your dad, who, you've been, the whole family is in fight and alcoholics, and he walked away. And, but my mom was angry the next day, but it was just like, that, to me, that left a very lasting impression. And he taught me a lot about horses, even though I was only in his life for 9 years. And when we went to Alaska, he ended up finding us, probably because I called my grandmother because I missed my dad. And then we ended up moving, to an island in Hawaii. And I bet you we moved there about 6 different times. I kept getting my butt beat all the time. We were homeless for a time as well. And I just kind of remember how God did all kinds of miracles during that time. It was almost 2 years that we were actually homeless, but not really homeless, because we had a tent. And hey, didn't all of the great prophets, live in tents? So yes, technically we had a house. We did have a home, but and to the standards of man, it wasn't good enough. And I think that's ridiculous, because we still were fed. God always provided money for food and for water, and it was right on the water, which my name means water. So I spend a lot of time reflecting and praying and trying to ground with water. And I learned a lot about the moon cycles and how the ebbs and the tides worked. And I was always like really empowered by the full moon versus the night moon. But yeah, or I should say the new moon, because that's in darkness. But yeah, by the full moon and that illumination, we met a couple of new age people, and I can't remember the mom's name, but the son and the daughter was Sun Ra and Moon Lotus. So it was just like when I learned about like Cleopatra and her twins, I was just like, oh yeah, it's just like those kids that we met, Moon Lotus and Sun Ra. So a lot of things that happened to me, I was able to use my past to unlock the different things in the Bible. So we ended up moving back to South Carolina on the East Coast, because that's where my mother's father was from before, and they were from like, I don't know, Germany, Scotland, Ireland, somewhere over there. I think we were there not even 6 months, and we got a phone call that something happened to my dad. We found out that he had died, and what they had told us is that he had taken his life. Well, we tried to get money to go back because we were very poor. We didn't hardly have anything. Everything that we ended up having, I don't even know where all that come from. And when we went to get funding, nobody would pay for my mom to come with us. So it was like us kids could go, but my mom couldn't. And it's just like, we went to Catholic church, we went to our own church, and nobody would do that. So what we did was we hitchhiked. We went to, because we didn't have a car either. So we went to a truck stop, and we just asked the truck drivers if somebody would give us a ride to such and such a location. And we were letting the family know that we were on our way. Well, my dad was buried on May 2nd, and we got there on May 3rd. So we had no closure. We had, couldn't say goodbye to our dad. Nobody would wait. His second wife was the one that said, the shock of not seeing us kids would put my grandma Opal and my great grandmother Ollie into some kind of spin, into, you know, trauma. I mean, it was just like a load of crap. And then my Uncle Gene, and, you know, they were all drinking and stuff too. So we didn't know exactly what was going on. So we ended up having another memorial, which, you know, some of the close families came. There was a lot of things that come up about my younger sister not being my dad's, and, you know, it was just drama. And many years later, because it took a long time for closure, because when I was gone, it was always the hope to seeing my dad and being with him, and because I was so close to him. And when all this happened, and then it's just like, church says that, you know, you're going to hell if you kill yourself, and that doesn't help. So yeah, it took a lot of soul searching, and then finally a minister with the Lutheran faith is like, well, you just don't know what was said when it happened, or the thought process before to pull the trigger. But, you know, thou shalt not kill is thou shalt not kill, even unto yourself. And I spent like 9 years seeking truth of what happened to my dad, because my dad had things saved for me. My dad's saddle, the chaps, because I was a horse person, his horses, the statues I ended up getting back. I got my chaps, did not get his horse, her name was Beauty, and I did not get his saddle, because that my one of my cousins still have it. But I think it was almost like 6 years after searching for truth that I kept asking family, and I didn't know who his second wife was. But it ended up coming out that a week after the funeral, that his second wife moved in with his brother-in-law. Within a week, got rid of all his stuff. We didn't even get any of it. And then we were cut out of my dad's inheritance when my great grandmother Ollie died. So we didn't get no inheritance from nobody on that side of the family. And then I was talking to my cousin David, and he was saying that the second wife always had like meds on her, and that she wasn't really an RN. They found out she was just a licensed practitioner nurse. So she lied to everybody. And I wanted to go and find documentation about things being stolen out of the hospital, because it was the same hospital that I was born in. And they had met when my dad was in a tractor accident. And then, you know, I guess she thought he had money. I don't know. Why would somebody marry him? And she didn't want to have kids, but right away, within a year, she was having a baby with this brother-in-law, an ex-uncle. So I believe karma always, you know, it says vengeance is mine, says the Lord. And so I kind of gave that up, and even up to last year, I kind of hoped that I can still go and at least exhume the body to see if he was drugs, because no man would use a derringer on himself, and that was the weapon that was used against him. And then for some reason they decided to seal his suicide through the county sheriff's department, and it's like, why would you seal it? If it was just a suicide, they wouldn't let us look at the pictures. They wouldn't let us do nothing. They showed us a handwriting that wasn't even my dad's handwriting. It was a woman's handwriting. Because I have letters from my dad over the years. 3 of the letters I still have. And so last year I applied to, I think it was the county attorney's office, to be in what they call criminal intelligence analyst. I didn't get it, but I was kind of hoping that I would, so that I would have credentials so I could go in and, ask for a file and see if I got it. But this is a time that, it's just about letting it all go. And that was what I did last year, was let it go. And to know that my Father is like my Heavenly Father in so many different ways. And that, even though they said that he put himself to death, that I believe that it was somebody else and his second wife that put him to death. And I see so many similarities to Jesus and to my dad in that. And I think that's what really helped me to get past anger, and that we weren't loved enough, that he would stay with us, or that we put sadness and fear and longing in him. And so, yeah, it was just, kind of crazy. But anyways, I really felt that needed to be shared, to just kind of let it get out there and let God handle the vengeance. The ex-brother-in-law, he ended up dying, and it was really interesting because the house that he had built ended up catching fire one year, and they had to either build another house or move. And then the son that they had together is horribly heavy. And yeah, so you could tell that through their sin that this young man just wasn't very healthy. And then with her, she walks like she's the walking death. She looks like she's a skeleton. So that what they had done, it weighs really deep in them. And the brother-in-law did end up dying from cancer. So the things that we do, that it comes into sins into our life, it does come into cancer unless you take out those negative emotions. So which in the Old Testament, it shows that you can take out your negative emotions, and it's real simple to do. So, and it's all about the breath as well. But yeah, I thought I'd just kind of share some of those things. I'll probably share a couple more things that, it's time to let go and let God, because it's time. God is going to come and wage war on those who does things like that, does things against the daughter, does things against his family. And it's time for the collection, but it's also time for the cleansing, especially with New York and Washington, any of the states that have approved the third term late abortion, I think it's called, because that's child sacrifice, and that's child sacrifice in such a satanic and occult way that God is about life. So I'd be very careful in living in those states right now. But anyways, I hope you all find comfort in words, and to know that if you believe in God, and God loves you so very much, that you'll all be saved. That there's going to be coming a time that you're going to have to move. Don't wait for the rapture, because the rapture is not what you think. So it's about being enraptured by love, but not being caught up in the clouds, because the cloud is the pillar that was out in the desert, how it became a cloud by day and fire by night. So that is the cloud that they're talking about. They're not talking about the clouds way up here. They're talking about a pillar, a leader. And her name was Miriam. So she was the one. But anyways, I will let y'all go, and we'll talk to you again real soon. Thank you, and go with incredible amount of love, peace, and joy today.